This Thursday night football props edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, this is Pac-Man Jones. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
First Larry Johnson, and now my wife thinks the NFL's fixed with all these all the laundry on the field. I mean, when the wife's commenting on the number of flags in a Monday Night Football game, it's gone too far.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like they were rigging it. I couldn't tell for what team because there was horrific calls on both sides the entire damn game. I was on the Jets. Jets didn't get home, although we did. Ryan, we climbed decently high up the Breece Hall receiving yards ladder. Didn't get home with the Ty Johnson anytime touchdown. I know we had discussed Ray Davis first touchdown. That ultimately wasn't a play, but almost got that home. The idea of finding some value in the other running backs besides Cook, that proved to be headed in the right direction. But my God, Greg Zuerlein missing 2 field goals. And I was talking to.
There was a completed Hail Mary.
It was a very weird game, top to bottom.
Yes.
I don't even know if you could say it was a bad beat, but you could. This Jets team is cursed, and very obvious by this. And I'll say this, as a guy who gut handicapper, pride myself on some gut handicapping. Didn't trust the gut there on the Jets, or the gut. The gut got me in the wrong place because I thought they would get a little bump from not having Robert Saleh there, new coach bump, get a master motivator in like Olbrich in there. But I'll be honest,
you didn't see a bump.
Maybe that first drive, but then I think when they settled for a field goal, and I'll tell you who is killing the bump is Aaron Rodgers with his negative fucking pouty ass. Anytime someone drops a ball, anytime, you signed a washed up Tyron Smith. Occasionally he's going to get his ass kicked and you're going to get sacked. Just like the eyes he makes, it's you want to talk about wife, like just he's in constant eye roll mode, which just makes it so hard to root for him. He's not a guy that the rest of these Jets team are playing for. Yes, he can throw a good spiral, but there is no one on that offense that is playing for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's pretty obvious, except his boy Allen Lazard. I did cash the over 3.5 catches at +130. That was nice, but weird game.
What an embrace, huh? I mean, the props were fine, right? Breece Hall 100 total yards was +135. That was a joke. The Aaron Rodgers 2+ touchdowns, that was a joke. So yeah, we did well. Unfortunately, Josh Allen managed to not turn the ball over with an interception.
He tried a couple times. I mean, some of the PI, like Matt Collins. I love Matt Collins, but he's getting the benefit of the doubt on PI calls. That was crazy to me. I did not see that coming. Just bizarre. But yeah, he obviously loves Allen Lazard, so keep hammering away on the Lazard props. But just not a fun game to watch. Like, it's prime time. Put away the whistle. If there's holding on both sides of the ball, maybe just let them play. The holding balances out.
Aikman was getting upset with it, and he goes, "This is a preseason game." And then they show the replay, and he's like, those were penalties."
Yeah, I mean the roughing, that the body weight roughing call.
Oh, that was horrible.
That Troy. I tweeted out, please don't let Colby know about this because
was really bad.
If Colby would have seen that call, he would have been so pissed. Hey, it is Monday, so again, if you want to support the war on terror, aka pick up a Refs Are Terrorists t-shirt. Everything in the merch store on Monday is 15% off with promo code Monday. I tweeted out a photo of me rocking the new SGP zipper sweatpants. The joke must have sailed over people's head because
What do you mean?
I put a honey jar in the sweatpants to give it like a nice big bulge, and everyone who commented was like, "Dude, your bulge is gross." There's like no one thought it was a fake penis in my sweatpants. So I didn't, the audience.
Why are you telling them
think
now?
I know I feel guilty that I that I tricked them, but the audience must really think I'm packing, right? Because no one commented like, "This is hilarious. What a great gag." It was just like, "Hey, maybe I'll check out those sweatpants." Got all of a sudden the bots started sliding in my DMs.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone who was hanging out in our house 15 years ago, making fun of your hand size would be extra funny.
And Bill's Mafia DJ, yeah, the tuck rule call as well. I mean, I don't know. I would have said that was a fumble, but I was glad they didn't call it a fumble. Geez, it was just all over the place. Shout out to Macon Bacon, our favorite New Zealand butcher, saying everyone knows you're packing a hog, Sean. Well,
oh wow.
I mean that means a lot coming from a New Zealand butcher, right? Because he knows his way around a hog.
Well, they do that haka dance. So you can see their meat flapping in the breeze. Well, that's so I've been told.
Yes, so you've been told. All right. Okay. So we got a lot. We got some Thursday night props, and joining us on the line to talk about some Thursday night football props. He is the host of the Daily Dog podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Mr. Britton Hess. What's happening, Britton? Thanks for hopping on the show.
Oh, not much. I'm like you, lamenting a money line loss on the Jets there. Most cursed team I think I've seen, but there's just so little juice. Like you talk about the new coach bump. I feel like on offense, I think Aaron Rodgers was the coach they all hated all along. So that didn't change. And then on defense, these guys are like, well, Saleh actually cared about us, and he's gone now.
Yeah, he was the good. It was like a divorce, and they got stuck with the mean stepmom and AKA Aaron Rodgers, and they're like, "No, this is way worse. Go back to them fighting." That at least we had the good dad to go to. Yeah, no, it was a shit show. But on the positive side, Britton, how about our Pittsburgh Steelers? Steelers with a nice win over the Las Vegas Raiders. I heard a lot of shows talking about, oh, hey, Justin Fields not played a great game last week. I thought he played pretty good. I like the 2 rushing touchdowns. Where are you with the whole Russ, Justin Fields quarterback debate? For me, and I don't know if Tomlin's. I would never, speak for Mike Tomlin. He does a good job speaking for himself. But to me, you keep playing Justin Fields until you start losing games, or he plays so bad that he's costing you games. Like, play the hot hand. You have that. You have that advantage. You don't have to play Russell Wilson, which I think is something you hold off until you have to. Am I crazy? What would you do with the Steelers quarterback situation?
So I think there's a little part of Tomlin that wants to play Russell Wilson just to like have a little bit more of a passing threat. But as you said, it's like there's no point in changing. Why would they change it now? He's playing just fine. Have you seen a lot of this QB play in this league? There, Justin Fields is kind of holding his own. I'm not saying he's a top 10 quarterback or anything, but you could do way worse for guys that cost a lot more, like maybe Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville, for example, or maybe a guy in Dallas. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, no, but overall, still vibes are high for the Steelers. Oh my God, they lost 2 games that were 1-score games. This is the NFL. I don't know if you noticed, but teams lose all the time. Especially close games. So they haven't really got blown out yet, which actually has been a hallmark of early season Tomlin over years past. Is like week 3 they lose 52-7 for no reason at all in a game they were favored by 2 points. So I think that the fact that they have been playing everything close. And have more wins than losses is a lot to be happy about. I know you guys were bullish on them. I'm still bullish on them. And again, the rest of their division, everyone, the Ravens are going to be fine, but the Bengals didn't really answer too many questions despite covering versus the Giants. Yes. And then you can look at every stat you want on Twitter. It's like literally just a museum of people dunking on Deshaun Watson and how bad he's been at quarterback. So long-term prospects for Steelers is good as far as making the playoffs and winning at least 3 games in division, which is a bet I have. And then as far as the quarterback go, I'm not going to sweat it. It's like if the quarterback isn't losing us games, which we had with, the Trubisky era, especially. Pickett didn't necessarily lose games. He didn't win you games. But Trubisky, when he was starting, it was just like turnover city. It was basically like the career that Will Levis is aspiring to have. So again, I'm not going to sweat it as long as Justin Fields isn't flat out losing games. Then it's fine. Let it play. And if something happens to him and Russell goes in, I think that will be fine too.
Justin Fields and the EPA CPOE composite, he sits right above CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. So
Justin Fields. Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Like the advanced numbers have kind of been kind for. He got bailed out on a pick.
But here's what's crazy.
The Raiders, but
what's drawing him up is not his EPA per play, which you would think because of the running quarterback. It's actually his accuracy. Like the reason he's above guys like Stroud and Love is he's much more accurate this year than them. Which is just crazy.
Usually
to
has
think
been
about
his weakness,
that in any sort of form. Although it does line up with my Jordan Love not very good angle.
Well, I think he's been accurate because they've done a good job in the Arthur Smith offense of like, hey, this is your first read. If it's not there, run. Yeah. You might want a more advanced passing game, but then you look at the skill set and it's like, yeah, you got Pickens.
Tomlin does not give a shit about more advanced passing game.
No, he cares about. I mean, honestly, they're just excited when TJ Watt is on the football field because their odds of winning go up when that guy's on the football field. Just two amazing punch outs of the football. I mean, he makes it look so easy. You go, why aren't they doing that on every play? TJ Watt makes being an awesome defensive player look incredibly easy, which I mean that as a compliment. But yeah, no.
Well, can I point out?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to point out too the one thing that on another show I do we always talk about is that TJ Watt literally lines up on the left side and rushes the passer the exact same route, the exact same way, like 98% of the time. Like offenses know exactly what's going to happen every play, how to scheme for it, and he's still the most disruptive player in the league, at least as far as defenders go. I know people like to talk about, oh man, you can move Micah Parsons all over the place, you can move Myles Garrett all over the place. You're not doing that just because you can. You're doing that because if you put them in one spot, they're going to get beat. TJ Watt wins from doing the exact same thing every single play, which is, it's revelatory in this era of the NFL.
He's a caveman. I mean, he actually would be like, that's the thing, right? Like if we zoom back a couple hundred years, a couple thousand years, like he would be the guy battling for an entire people.
Yeah, he would be.
Imagine the Watt clan showed up to your fucking doorstep.
Yeah, imagine there's one piece of meat and there's like 10 cavemen and one of them is TJ Watt. He'd be like a minus 2,000 favorite to get that fucking piece of meat.
He's gonna eat the meat and then he's gonna probably kill you and eat you and then have sex with your woman.
It would not be end well. Me versus TJ Watt in caveman times. All right, we're gonna get to the props before we do. Shout out to BetUS, sportsgameonpodcast.com/BetUS. Just cashed my over 3.5. Alan Lazard over on BetUS. Also, I hit my first touchdown. Joey B on there. Did not hit my Jets pick over on BetUS, but no fault of BetUS. They have great customer service, easy deposit and withdrawal with that sweet cryptocurrency. America's favorite sports books, 30+ years. sportsgameonpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN, so they know we sent you. They got a 1960 Ford Mustang they're giving away. Again, you always want more options. BetUS, great option. You can play from anywhere. sportsgameonpodcast.com/BetUS. All right. Interesting matchup. We got the Broncos heading down to the Saints right now. Broncos are what?
Spicy. 2 points.
2-point road favorites.
I'm looking at a very popular outlet. They have two. They have
-2. Interesting. It's going to be in a dome here. This is an interesting game because we keep watching the Saints pass defense, which has been horrific. Could create some opportunities, but then any sort of Broncos game does lend itself towards an uglier, grinded out game. I think there's going to be some opportunities for the Broncos offense, but we'll let you go first here. Britton, what do you like? What's a prop that's jumping out at you for Broncos at Saints?
Yeah, so just these short turnaround games. I think the game plan gets a little bit condensed, and the quarterback gets a little bit more of a green light. They're like, hey, if first read's not there, just take off. So I like Rattler over 22.5 rushing yards. He had 27 against the Bucs last week. Obviously, the Broncos defense is good, but I just think in this spot, and also he ended up throwing a couple picks late in that game last week. I think he's just going to be like, you know what, I need to actually just play it a little safe. Can't be a gunslinger here, because also, if he shows any sort of pulse and they can win a couple games, like do they give the job back to Carr, or are they just like, yeah, you know what, it was fine, but this kid gives us a little juice, and he did give him some juice in that game. I think that the Bucs game, they were extremely lucky to even be ahead in that game at all. I did live bet against them. That said, Rattler was mostly better than expected, despite turning the ball over a couple times. So I think he's got to run the ball here, and 22.5 is pretty low. His long was 16 yards in that Bucs game. So, it doesn't take much for him. He's not Mike Vick, like our friend at BetUS, but he's still mobile enough. He's kind of like in that Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow mold of mobility, where it's like, a little faster than you think, not really going to win a track meet.
No, he's squirrely, right? And these rookie quarterbacks in situations, they panic. They don't, okay, I missed the read. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to run.
Yeah.
When in doubt, to take the even Drake May, who didn't look great or a great runner by any means, he smashed on his over rushing yards. I do think Nix is going to be looking to scramble as well. His over rushing yards probably good anytime touchdown. I will stick with Spencer Rattler, and then even though Patrick Surtain probably won't clear concussion protocol on the short week, I still like Spencer Rattler over a half interception at -130. Again, he threw 2 against Tampa Bay. This Broncos defense very opportunistic, and I just can't imagine you're making your second start against a really good defense without a full week to game plan and prepare. To your point, maybe that does lead you to running a little bit more, but I still think Broncos will get one. So I like Rattler to get intercepted at some point in this game. Kramer, what about you? What do you got?
The Rattler, I mean, just in general, I thought he had some zip on the ball, but it was like the Anthony Richardson zip. And I was like, that was good. The next one's like, oh no.
Yeah, he was firing lasers. I don't know if they were fully calibrated.
Yeah. So you were discussing the New Orleans defense in general, and I kind of think what Bo Nix has going over the last couple games is he's starting to, whether it's game flow or whatever, the passing game is starting to show up. He's now 2 games in a row gone over 200 passing yards. His passing total is 185.5 here. I think there's going to be a lot of calculated short stuff, and I'm going to take the over 3 weeks in a row for Bo Nix. They haven't really adjusted the total. It was 187.5 last week. It's 185.5 this week. So
Ryan, yeah, I did just take my other prop, or my next prop is Bo Nix over 200 yards at +130.
Oh,
I like everything you're saying.
It's gonna fill now. It's gonna land right between
185 and 200. Yeah. He's gone over 200 4 out of the 6 games. The 2 games he didn't go over. That first game against Seattle, it was his first NFL start in a hostile environment, and then that really bad. And then that Jets game, which was really bad weather conditions. You could kind of understand, but every other game he's gone over. Sometimes he's a little slow starter, but Saints 3rd most pass yards allowed in the NFL. I think you can throw on the Saints team. It's in a dome. Don't have to worry about the weather. And he feels more and more comfortable in the offense as it goes along. So yeah, I like the Knicks passing over. How about you, Britton? What's another prop you like?
Yeah, actually like a little bit of plus money, playing a little alt market with Javonte Williams rushing yards, 50 plus 105. I think his real number is 46.5, and it's -115 either way. So in that case, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just take, 3.5 more yards and get that plus 105. Again, it's just the game plan for these Thursday night games where, just hand the ball off. Obviously Peyton isn't necessarily vertically attacking the opposing defenses all that much. We did just see the Saints defense get destroyed on the ground last week as well. Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving were, they combined for like 200 rushing yards in that game.
Insane.
So I think that's going to be a path that they can take here. Again, you could maybe, you could ladder it up a little bit if you wanted to, get into the laddie daddies realm. We can maybe consult with him as we get closer to Thursday. But I think Javonte Williams has a good shot to do this. He didn't do it. He didn't hit this number versus the Chargers last week. But as we know, Harbaugh loves stopping the run more than anything. Basically, that's what his career is built on. Is like stop the run and then run the ball. So I don't necessarily fault him for that. And also they're playing from behind that whole game, which I don't necessarily think is going to happen to the Broncos in this game versus the Saints. So Javonte Williams, if he gets like 15 carries, I think he's going to have no problem getting over 50 yards. And 2 out of his last 3 games, he's gone way over this. He had 61 2 games ago, 77, I think, 3 games ago. And then I said he didn't do it do it versus the Chargers, but that's not really slowing me down too much in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Kramer, you were the one who did mention, hey, if the Broncos can't run the ball against the Chargers, they could be in trouble. And that certainly was the story of the first half. They eventually figured it out. Maybe a little too late. I forgot to mention when we were doing the recap show. So the Broncos do the quote unquote right thing, kick the field goal. Though I was hoping for the backdoor push, but then I'm watching it with Decker, and of course Decker, just being a cursed Chargers fan, is like, I go, Decker, come on, 23, or hey, maybe the Broncos go for 2, 21, 23. I get my cover at 3 points. He's like, no, can't risk it. I've seen too many bad things. He's just a traumatized person. And then they kick the onside kick. Okay, it goes out of bounds. The flags go, and Decker's fist pumping, and then wait, oh no, offsetting penalties. The Broncos get a chance of kicking again, and just beads of sweat are running down Decker's face. He was really, really worried. And then the second onside kick, it squirted through the Chargers guy's legs. It hit one of their hands, and the Broncos guy was so close to getting it before it went out of bounds. Man, it was an incredible thing to watch. Watch Decker sweat that onside kick.
He's very serious about the team this year.
Oh, very
serious. There's no joking with the Chargers. All right, so I love Britton's angle here, but I'm gonna take us to the matchup props.
Ooh, okay.
Javonte Williams versus Alvin Kamara. Rush yards.
Yes.
Head to head. We have two options. Do we like the money line plus 210?
Yes.
Or do we like plus 24.5 yards?
I mean, if I'm Sean Payton and the Broncos, I'm loading the box, not letting Alvin Kamara beat us with the run.
Oh my God.
Spying Rattler. And then what? Olave, is he going to play?
No.
Shaheed says he's going to go, but I mean, what's his status? They're incredibly banged up. And Taysom Hill did get a limited practice, so that could change things for me. But yeah, I think they're just going to do whatever they can to slow down Alvin Kamara.
So Javonte Williams money line versus Alvin Kamara rushing yards.
Yeah, I like
plus
the money
210.
line. Yeah, go for it.
I'm there.
I like it. I mean, to Britton's point, like, you can pound the rock against these guys, and the more we're talking about these props, the more I probably will find myself on the Denver Broncos once again. It feels a little weird to take Bo Nix as a non-conference road favorite, but I think on Thursday night you do default to the better team. And right now, how injured the Saints are, how good this Broncos defense is, even with Surtain out, I still think they're a pretty good defense. And I don't know, Saints look to be struggling on both sides of the ball. It's gonna be tough to talk myself into it. You know,
it was awful, and we were terribly close to having to be on the Saints with the Close Your Eyes special, but we that
got wonky late.
Dodged a bullet there. I mean, barely did not underperform by 21 points or more.
Yeah, it got crazy late there. This one is a prop I like. Rhythm also likes it. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Get your 7-day free trial. I just saw the Hastronaut said he just signed up for Rhythm. One of my sharpest plays of the day. You know, if a guy like Hastronaut is getting down on it, and that guy has been to space, or at least felt like he's been through space, courtesy of his dab rig. If he can sign up for a Rhythm, you can. I mean, if the Hastronaut knows how to build his own NFL model, knows how to use their props, certainly what's stopping you? sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Get signed up, get the 7-day free trial. This was a guy that just eye test jumped off the screen. Devaughn Vele over 23.5 receiving yards.
It's a soccer player name.
Yeah, it does.
It's a midfielder.
I took over Vele red cards. He played the first game, and he led the Broncos in targets for that game. And then he's played 2 games, the first game and then last game. He's in the one game he led in targets, in the other game he led in receiving yards. 62% of the snap share in the Chargers game. He's kind of been under the radar because those middle 4 games he was knocked out with a rib injury, rookie. But he's been awesome. Again,
when Peyton talks about Marvin Mims, this is who he's actually speaking about.
He led the targets in week 1, and he led the team in receiving yards week 6. He's clearly a big part of the offense, has some nice run after the catch ability. And you saw that Saints team. Now maybe some of it was a situational spot, but again, the Saints they played Monday, then they played Sunday. Now they're playing Thursday. So they're a team that's playing 3 games in 11 days. Always like to fade those teams. And where does it show up? It shows up in tackling. Vele is a guy that's kind of hard to tackle, I think. So I like him to get some yards after the catch. Certainly a ladder candidate. But I'll take over 23.5 receiving yards. Devaughn Vele, kind of flying under the radar, but
great play.
Oh, really?
Well, stay tuned. Maybe later in the show he might come up.
Britton, you got another prop for us?
I do. So we saw some of these young quarterbacks. There's a learning curve where like they don't necessarily believe how good NFL wide receivers are at first. Yeah. And then after a few games, they're like, oh my God, I just throw it in that direction. And all of a sudden they catch it. These guys are like literally spitting in God's face with their physical ability. So I like Cortland Sutton to score a touchdown here. I think that obviously he earned some goodwill with Bo Nix. I mean, with that, spectacular catch he had last week. Plus 185 is his touchdown prop right now. You can shop around. I mean, places like Circa, if you've got access to that, they will always have better odds on TD props. You could probably get 2-1 on that one on day of the game if you're bright and early. I just think that the Saints defense doesn't scare me. I don't necessarily love the passing attack in general because, as you said, it's a lot of underneath stuff. But in the red zone, Bo Nix just has to be getting more and more confident in Cortland Sutton as that jump ball wide receiver who was kind of like a square peg in a round hole at first. But at this point, I think Bo Nix is like, oh my God, I just throw it to him and good things will happen. Kind of like what we saw from Jaden Daniels when he's like, oh, maybe if I throw it to Terry McLaurin deep, I'll get more passing yards and score more passing touchdowns. And then, of course, Terry McLaurin and him have a great connection now. So I see a little bit of that blooming with Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix. So I like him to score touchdown at plus 185. And again, I'm sure you'll be able to get 2-1 on that one at some spots before this game goes off.
Yeah, shop around.
I can tell you that Caesars has plus 265.
Whoa. All right.
Bet 365 has 2-1. So
yeah, the website Odds Checker seems to do a decent job of shopping. Like you just go to first touchdown prices, and seem to do a decent job of shopping around, getting you a good price there. So yeah, I mean, Cortland Sutton, he seems to be a guy, and Bo Nix is turning into a guy who's running around a bunch. And Cortland Sutton seems to do a good job, and obviously a big target. Nice guy to chuck it up to.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys we were talking about during the best ball season. That was just constant. It's like, why is this guy going in the 14th round?
Yeah, no, he's, even if their passing offense isn't amazing, he's still going to get you a decent amount of work and certainly some good prices on it. So, Kramer, what's another prop you got here?
Well, let's head over to the kicking markets.
Way to enrage the audience with the kicking prop. But they do like winning kicking props.
We've not lost a kicking prop this year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take Will with 1L Lutz.
Okay.
To go over, we're in a dome to go over 6.5 points.
Cash it.
I thought about the field goal versus the 6.5 points angle. I'm taking the 6.5 points. We just did watch this Saints team enable a game to go very over a total. Points. So we're just going to go Will Lutz over 6.5 points. And for those who don't like the kicking prop, the kicking prop's actually a pretty fun in terms of the props out there, because it's not often that you're sweating it. But boy, when that, you don't think about it, but when now all of a sudden that field goal's in the air, you're like, oh,
Ryan,
gotta pay attention.
I got to tell you, one of my favorite sweats so far of the season was the Blake Grupe under 1.5 extra points after the Saints scored their second touchdown. A lot of people just assumed the Group A extra point was cooked there, but under came in. What a sweat. No, there was a little bit of a sweat.
What a sweat.
Hey, have you guys signed up with UnderdogFantasy.com? If not, what are you waiting for? Use that promo code SGPN. Of course, subscribe to the Daily Dog, where you get free picks Monday through Friday. Nice little quick short episodes. Get you ready for the day. Britton does a great job of hitting on a ton of markets, ton of sports. And that's what's awesome about Underdog. They really have fantasy projections for everything. And then sign up there. And just keep checking the boosts because they hit you with a ton of profit boosts, in-game boosts. It is just a ton of fun, and they really have a bunch of markets, fantasy points, receptions. I think I've even seen targets, like really crazy stuff. So if you dig down, you can definitely find some edges in the Underdog market, and go to underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN, get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Britton, do a good job there over on the Daily Dog, getting people ready for all things Underdog. Has there been, now Underdog's great about giving you a ton of options as far as like stuff to get down on, but has there been one particular play, on a fantasy projection that was pretty funny? I mean, I know MMA, they have like strikes offered. Was there one particular pick you made on Underdog that stood out as a very weird one that people wouldn't think you might be able to find action on?
So I haven't done it yet, but I've been trying to like find a way to do like one of the racing ones, the auto racing ones. I just usually the races are taking place on weekends, and I'm doing my shows like Monday through Friday. So I haven't had the kind of the bright timeline to give out a good pick for one of these racing events because I'm doing enough other stuff. Like on Fridays right now, I usually give out like 4 to 5 slips that get you through the entire weekend. But I'm focusing on football and baseball right now, and the UFC as well. So nothing too crazy right now. I mean, I can tell you a sad story about Sidney Crosby not getting a point today, despite the Penguins having 6 goals and him not having one. And he is 1 point away from the milestone of 1,600 career points to be the 10th player to ever do it. They're playing in Canada in front of his friends and family
on Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yep, in front of his friends and family. His parents were in the crowd. They wanted to see him cross his milestone on the brand new Amazon Prime Hockey in Canada. And 6 goals, and he had a plus minus of 0 in this game. He literally wasn't on the ice for any goals somehow, despite being on the top line. It was insane. Bad beats, but Sidney is going to be on every slip moving forward until he gets this milestone because it's going to happen soon.
I do have a confession.
Yes.
So I as we've been telling people, make sure you get into the Underdog Discord. They have a sign up in there that gets you additional boosts. Well, I don't know if they're coming from there or just general.
They're coming
awareness.
from inside the house, right? The boosts.
I've been getting these like, hey, try out League of Legends.
Yeah.
Hey, try out Counter-Strike.
They do.
So I have done that
dangle.
before. I have gone in the League of Legends before when they had a discount, because so sometimes they give a discount and it's like a WNBA player and it's like instead of 19.5 points, it's 17.5. And it's like, well, that's not that big of a deal. Then there was like a mid laner for League of Legends. It was like map 1 and 2 kills over 6 as down from like 12.5. And I'm like, this is a massive. And I actually am a pioneer in esports betting back in 2014. I had like a Don Best screen made, a website for esports betting odds tracking. A lot of people don't know this about my past. Yeah, I know my developer from that.
We're learning about Britain's dark past.
So yeah, I was early in the esports market. Korean StarCraft at 2 a.m. and League of Legends all weekend long. Used to be very, very soft. Now they kind of have done a few things to make it a little bit. One, there's not as much liquidity available. You can't really bet as much at many places. And 2, they kind of have cut the odds in a major way. So it's not quite like it was a decade ago. But yeah, so the League of Legends discounts basically take the over if it shows up as like a mid laner for kills on map 1 and 2 on Underdog, because it's much better than the discounts you get in other sports.
I did a little
amazing advice from Britton.
I did a correlated.
I like how it started with Britton goes, yeah, I haven't done anything crazy, and then we unearthed his discount.
I knew this might drum up some memories because as I was looking at it, I was like, well, this is crazy. So I know absolutely nothing about either of these teams, or I mean, what do I know about Knight or Elk? On whatever team I'm looking at. So what I did was I took one guy from one team and I took the higher on the kills projections, and then I took another guy from the other team higher on the deaths projection. I didn't win.
Your logic was sound,
but it was a boost. So I mean, ask Sean. I see these boosts in here. I gotta use them.
They are fun to toss it. All right,
if they're the same lane, that's highly correlated. By the way, if it's a top versus top. What do you guys know about top?
Well, here's the sad part: is I kind of know what you're talking about. I went that far, so we can move on though. I mean, we're both tops.
No, I want to subscribe to your esports gambling podcast with Britton and Ryan.
I'm not interested.
Britton explaining esports gambling to Ryan.
I'm not.
I'm in on it. All right, let's go back to real sports. First touchdown market. Okay. I'll kick it off.
Sure.
Bo Nix, got to put him in there. 11-1. Rushing quarterback. We saw Josh Allen steal it away from Ray Davis, but Bo Nix 11-1. Love it. Devaughn Vele at 20-1. He's a big part of the offense, like I had mentioned. I think he's involved. 20-1, and just the Saints are just not good at stopping receivers. You saw Godwin and everyone else go off against them. And then I will just toss in Spencer Rattler 16-1. Again, somewhat rushing quarterback early on, rookie year. I think he's alive to scramble around and get something there. I'll toss in Taysom Hill. They haven't hung the Taysom Hill price because
is he going to play?
He got in a limited practice today. So we're taping this on a Monday night. That's kind of a decent sign for Thursday night football. I'll keep an eye on it, but if we're getting Taysom Hill higher than like 10-1, might be intriguing. Although if he's in, he's probably going to be lower than that. So I'm keeping my eye on that one. Britton, any plays here for the first touchdown market? Broncos Saints.
Bub Means. I mean, when Olave got banged up, he became a real part of 8 targets in this game. That was more than Rashid Shaheed had at the end of the day, and that was as many as Alvin Kamara. Like, it's just the volume is there. You know, they seem to trust him, or at least they didn't have any other options, so they used him a lot. As you know, a lot of these guys are still on the injury report. Olave, we don't know if he's going to play. Shaheed didn't practice on Monday either. So if these guys are all out, it's just kind of, I mean, your dude Vele is a big part of the offense, and Bub Means is a big part of the offense. So I like Bub Means at 15-1 for first touchdown here.
And Sean, you also
an awesome name. I do factor that
amazing.
in when
we talked about this the other day.
Touchdown.
I went deep into the depth chart when last time we were talking about the Saints, and it was like, oh man, Bub Means and Mason Tipton are gonna grace our presence at some point this year. I mean, Tipton's 22-1.
He's interesting.
Memes all. I mean, the 15-1 price. I mean, the secret's out. So simple system for me on this card. It's quarterbacks and defenses.
Oh yeah.
Bottom line.
See, that's a market I didn't hit. I saw the chat talking about defenses. There certainly has that possibility.
So 25-1 for Denver, 28-1 for New Orleans. Bo Nix is 11-1, a little chalky, almost couldn't play it. And then Rattler 16-1. A lot of the things that Britton said earlier about just the willingness to run. So yeah, Thursday night football seems like a good time to dust off the quarterbacks and defenses model.
Yeah, especially in this game. Definitely a couple guys turnover prone. I think they're both minus money to throw an interception.
You could see both defenses.
Good way to get things started. All right, let's close things out here with an Underdog fantasy entry for Thursday night football. What do you got here, Britton? We'll get you. Give us the first leg. We'll give out a tripod here. What do you like for an Underdog slip to get things started?
Well, I mean, do you want the kind of more controversial one, or do you want the okay?
We always want the controversial, longer odds, bigger shots. Yes.
It's not necessarily bigger odds, but it's under or lower than 108.5 rushing plus receiving yards for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I know that. So everyone's like, the logic is, oh man, everyone knows everything is everything's got to go through him with all these injuries. But Sean Payton knows that. The Broncos know that, so they can limit him. And in the last 2 games, Alvin Kamara, while banged up, hasn't gone over that number in the combined rushing receiving yards. I need to double check if that's up right now, though. If not, I've got some other options for you.
It is.
But, okay.
I'm
111.5 right
it's
now.
111. Oh, wow. It's higher than at the book. The books have already been hit then compared to Underdog. So, yeah, I like that under. I mean, maybe you guys, he's obviously a big play threat. He can get 50 yards on the ground or through the air. But I just think that when everyone is hurt, the Broncos can key on him to such an extent that he's going to have trouble putting up, getting across the century mark with the yardage.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it that way. You could also do it just rushing. It does seem like that Peyton comes from the school of, I'm going to take away your best thing.
Yeah. I like it though. Lower 111.5 Alvin Kamara. Kramer, you're up next. What do you got?
Well, I mean, this is where I was going to throw the Vele play.
Okay, what do we like for Vele?
I think we just go receiving yards.
Yeah. It's a little high. It's 28.5 on Underdog. I like the higher. I mean,
that's a fine projection. I'm fine with that.
I think he's fine laddering.
I'm fine with that projection.
All right. Okay, so we got Alvin Kamara lower. We got Devaughn Vele higher. Spencer Rattler, his rushing yards 22.5. That's intriguing.
I mean, you love Bo Nix. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just play a Bo Nix one.
Do I play Bo Nix passing yards? Do I play Bo Nix anytime?
The passing yards projection has changed. Is moving up as the week goes on. I think like tomorrow, Sean, when we're in the next couple of days, when we're watching when God's Eye's checking in other shows, and we're like, they watched our show and they steal all our good props. I think the main one that everyone's going to copy is the Bo Nix passing yard.
So Bo Nix higher 189.5. Let's lock that in now.
Wow.
Devaughn
I already
Vele,
got 4 yards of CLV on my
higher 28.5 receiving yards, and Alvin Kamara lower 111.5 rushing and receiving yards.
We got this, man.
I've burned all my bonuses, so no bonuses to toss on. But
I will say, ever since I started talking about the bonuses, they're drying up. What do you think's going on?
We can only use so many. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN.
I'm going big on this one, Sean.
I feel good about this. We got a lower in there, I think, which is the key. Appreciate Britton hopping on, giving us some feedback. Appreciate everyone checking out the Spotify, tossing us 5 stars over there, Ryan. I'm checking in to see where we're at.
I would say I'm honored to be on a top 25 Spotify sports podcast.
Yes,
honored.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. We are currently ahead of Ryan Russillo. What do we got? First Take, just blow by them. Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry. Adios.
All those shows with small bulges.
Yes, the small
corporate gambling content. Like, how could you do that to yourself? How could you listen to that? I don't get it.
We still have to beat out Colin Cowherd. I mean, for his like transition lens video take alone, hyping up USC and Penn State couldn't handle the distractions. I mean, it was such a bad take and such a weird video. That alone, you deserve to treat
like
yourself.
Weird sidekick.
Yeah,
that whole, what was it? Spicy, crunchy,
zesty is the word kids are using. Yeah. So 5 seconds to give us 5 stars. Always appreciate that. And still a couple days left. Mountainprojects.org. Hit the flood support button. Promo or enter in SGPN. And I think we're going to announce the winner tomorrow on the College Football Pick Show. Going to bring them on, hook them up with a bunch of SGPN gear. And make sure you subscribe to the Daily Dog wherever you get your SGPN podcast. Follow Britton on X at Britton Hess. Very easy to follow that. BRITTON Hess.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Oh man, I don't think the Broncos can lose this game.
Kramer, let it ride.